Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host 𝙒𝙧𝙤𝙀 Iyer. The latest Supreme Court ruling that ED can indeed perform arrests will come as a shock to many who have been using this ploy to somehow evade arrest and also throwing mud at ED, the Enforcement Directorate. To understand a little bit more about the implications, let us welcome our guest of the evening, Sri RVS Mani. Mr. Mani, namaskaram and welcome to PGurus channel, sir.
Namaskaram. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Mr. Mani, this ruling that has come from Supreme Court that ED has full powers to arrest. When was it not there, sir? I thought everybody, if you and I are being called by ED for questioning, usually the last thing that happens is you and I, or you or I, will get arrested. But I see that Rahul Gandhi goes and comes, Sonia Gandhi goes and comes, changes their mind in the middle of the interrogation and asks for a new date. And ED is the epitome of patience. And will this change matters on the ground now? How do you think it's going to change matters? Who should be sweating?
It is not ED, it is the PMLA which has given the provision for arrest, for which ED is the nodal agency. Like the CBI does the PCA cases, Prevention of Corruption cases. PMLA was enacted in 2002. Actually, it was introduced in 1999 itself, because the entire global community was gearing up for this type of money, the laundered money, proceeds of crime, the money involved in crime, and all those things. So they had to regulate, and so convergence on the global convergence of United Nations Office of Drugs, Crime, and several other, the Financial Sector Review Board of World Bank, and so many other agencies come together and put pressure on that. So if we have to be in the global community, we need a PMLA. And if we want to be in the PMLA, the power of arrest, the power of seizure, the power of forfeiture have to be in the statute book. And let us not fool ourselves. If we want to continue to be in global community, like the FATF, where we are supposed to be enjoying a preeminent position, we need to use this clauses also, these sections also. It should not be a decorative piece.
So, PMLA, let's take a look at some of the cases that are hanging fire. 2G scam, Aircel Maxis scam, INX Media, National Herald. All these things involve money laundering. So, I'm assuming that PMLA will be applicable to all these cases?
Indeed, it will be applicable, because see, you have to go to, after 2005 amendment, there was another amendment in 2009, where a lot of these cases, like which are covered under the Prevention of Corruption Act, Terrorism Act, so many other XYZ Acts and all, they were brought in as predicate offences or scheduled offences under the PMLA. So, as a consequence of that, apart from the substantive effect, the laundering part will continue to be investigated and acted upon. Prosecution will continue as per the PMLA by the Enforcement Directorate. So all these things, the substantive offence, even in the National Herald case, where there's a lot of ruckus about it, is something. It's a case of cheating or 405 or 406 or whatever it is, we do not know. It's Indian Penal Code crime. But along with that, as a consequence of that substantive offence, a lot of money has had to be laundered. So PMLA will kick in there. And that is the reason why some people are, one of the Congress party member, prominent member, went on to say that PMLA ED is idiotic, or also absolutely uncalled for. That shows his level of I can't comment. I leave it for you to conclude.
Yeah. We all know who this individual is, and if you have looked at my tweet, you can see the hashtags to kind of make up, or you can come to your own conclusion. Now, there is an interesting aspect to this. First of all, in National Herald case, because that is the one that is really hot. In National Herald case, there is what I call as a letterbox company, a shell company called Dotex Merchandise. Now, allegedly, this Dotex Merchandise is the one which gave a 1 crore rupees grant to Young India so that they could use that money to purchase the shares of AJL. Now, the interesting thing here is Dotex is known for laundering money. You give it dollars, it will give you rupees. You give it rupees, it will give you dollars at a location of your choice. Now, allegedly, AD has all the data about how a certain individual from a certain party gave them money, which they converted as rupees and gave as a grant to Young India. Now, on Young India's books, this is looking like an interest-free loan with no security, and on their side it is looking like a grant. So lots of holes here. Can you walk us through this, Dotex merchandise type of companies which are laundering for many people in India? Could we call them as Hawala agents loosely, or is it even Hawala is even worse than this?
See, all of them come in the same bracket.
Mm.
What Hawala person does is what Dotex does. You give them money in India, and if you say I want pound sterling in Birmingham, they will simply hand over without any issue. When the foreign exchange was at a premium, they used to in fact take over pounds in India and hand over rupees at a higher rate than the ruling rate of market. See, because it is not happening today, it has been happening for a very long time. We have had the Jain Hawala case in which this happened. And those days, our foreign exchange was not very strong enough, and it was always at a premium. So you will always get more money for giving them dollars or pounds, and then higher than the market. And this has happened, and it is there. And their network is very, very strong.
So Hawala and Dotex-like companies, the difference is one actually gets entered on books, the other one doesn't even get entered.
See, basically, Dotex type companies, for example, I say it is called corporatization of Hawala. It is more, you can call it a sort of a Hawala is an individual enterprise. Dotex is a corporate Hawala. So only the format changes, but the substantive work remains the same. I call it, earlier it used to be even there are companies, the brand management company, I used to call them that corporatization of this corruption. Corporatization, now there are liaison officers. In fact, interestingly, that is what I am working on my next book about the network of dalals, in how they operate. So this is also a corporatization of Hawala.
Viewers, could you please like this video? It needs to be 10 times the traffic that we are getting right now. And we know that Mr. RVS Mani is right on the money when he starts weighing in on a topic. Please help us. Please like this video. And I'd like to see a big jump in viewership. Second question, second request for our viewers is you may want to consider donating to our cause by clicking on the super thanks button. And we would continue to strive to bring you the best brains in the business, so that your time is best spent watching PGurus channel. I'm not making this up. You can look at the PGurus.com articles to see how many things we predicted how many years ago. So getting back to our question. The question is that who will be sweating? I want some specific instances where I want to ask you the question and you please weigh in, sir. Now, the interesting part about this company, Dotex Merchandise, is that during the beginning days of the Aam Aadmi Party, a lot of money came in through Dotex Merchandise into the party. And when caught, allegedly, they returned that money. So my question to you, sir, is the deed has happened. It's a different matter that you return the money. Does it still constitute a crime of PMLA? Under PMLA?
See, once the crime is, supposing if I commit a bank robbery, then what the basic case where the Malaya is being not given the relief, he is willing to return the money. It is something similar to do. Tomorrow, if I rob a bank of 200 crore rupees, use it, instead of leaving it idle, do a lot of investment, earn around 500 crores over the 200, and I say, okay, you don't catch me, please let me off. I give you 500 to my 200 crores back. Well, is it acceptable? No. It still constitutes a crime. There is no two opinions on that. And that is where this 𝙤𝙧 you said is still at default, or the party, what is that party called Harakiri, or what is it? Aam Aadmi Party.
Aam Aadmi Party.
Aam Aadmi Party. So actually, I got it wrong. Aam Aadmi Party is again in the list of things. And initially, the individuals' names are coming out. There are many individuals now who are facing the flag in Aam Aadmi Party. Maybe the next step will be because the problem with if you take action against the political party is they will cry wolf. Even in the National Herald case, you know it, I know it, that Dr. Subramanian Swamy initiated the entire proceedings. M.R. Venkatesh in 2014 initiated the legal drafting of that. Okay? But now what is this Congress fellow doing? They are protesting against Modi. If you want to protest, go and protest the Subramanian Swamy's house. Do you have the guts? You take him on. Because here the government is invisible. Nobody can come and respond to that. You tell Jairam Ramesh, who calls himself to be an IITian and an erudite fellow, he is the media chief nowadays, I think, the AICC Communications Center. Why can't he go and protest before Dr. Subramanian Swamy? He has initiated this. ED is acting on the directions of the government, not because of yesterday's judgment. Even earlier also, these people had gone to the different levels of courts, including the Supreme Court, and that did not stop the investigation. The criminal aspect is also being investigated. That is being investigated by whatever agency. But it was on a private complaint. Let us not mix up facts. It is on a private complaint. It was Enforcement Directorate was forced to act, and that is how they have come to this position. So why should you? Why nobody is saying like that? Public should be aware of this. That this is a private complaint by a very concerned individual. There is no doubt about it. So if you want to protest, go and protest. Say that so that he will provoke him into initiating another case of citizenship against somebody. We do not know. So that is what is the sum and substance of it. As a consequence to that, if the ED does not arrest, what will happen? This is the basic question. They have interrogated it. Things are quite clear that a lot of money was laundered. It is all more and more statements on the cross-examinations and all is coming it amply clear. We do not know. AD must be doing this. Now let us take the case. We have this PMLA is not a standalone act. It has an international ramification. I have been always saying this. In 2009, predicate offence amendments were done on the basis of a recommendation from UNCTED, United Nations Counter-Terrorism Executive Directorate, and FATF recommendations, and FSRB, and so many other international commitments. So that is the reason it was objection reasons were under. It was stated that it is under Article 253, that is to meet international commitments. The law was passed. So, Supreme Court had to uphold whatever was the provision, because of this might have been explained in the affidavit or wherever it is. I do not know. Now the question is, just having the book provisions on the law statute books and having a favorable order from Supreme Court does not stop there. The efficacy of the law has to be shown by its application. Go freeze the properties or seize the properties, whether it is in the National Herald case or any other case which is being, for example, the bundles and bundles of currency notes coming out of Belgaria in Kolkata and other places. I mean, unbelievable, although Once upon a time, Partha was a good friend. He was the general manager, HR of Andrew Yule, a company under Ministry of Industry. That was around 20 years back, not now. Thereafter, we are not in touch. He went on to join politics and all that. But basically, what has happened is, again, if they don't act, we are going to face music in the international arena. FATF inspection is expected to come anytime. The team may visit to re-evaluate because it is periodically re-evaluated. There, on the money laundering part, if you say that because of political compulsions we could not arrest XYZ, it is extremely sad. And by the way, Karthi Chidambaram had moved the court along with some congressmen. They have shot themselves in the foot by going to the court. Now they have given a direction, indirectly a direction comes out and go jolly well arrest. Don't do this interrogation drama, disrupting the Delhi life. For heaven's sake, arrest, take them into custody, and we will examine at that time the concerned judicial custody.
Mr. Mani, before I go to the next question, just quick request to all the viewers. You can send in your questions with the hashtag #AskMani, MANI, and we will try and have Mr. Mani answer all the questions. Only one more question, sir, and then after that we can take on Q&A. My question, and this is a little bit a long question, so please bear with me for giving you the details. So one of the things that happens is in the stock market, India stock market, whether it is NSE or BSE, it doesn't matter. What happens is money, politicians' money or high net worth individuals' money goes from India via Hawala to Dubai, let us say, just take Dubai for example. In Dubai, it gets converted from the Hawala's counterparty into dollars. That dollars is then taken by somebody and they get a participatory note with no name on it. This participatory note then gets submitted in a Mauritius shell company, and the Mauritius shell company in turn will turn and start trading in shares in India. Now what happens is, if you have support from the finance ministry side, then this is the ... What happens is you pick a particular share and then 4 HNIs or 4 politicians in a mix will start buying that share. Suddenly that share starts going up. No reason or rhyme. I mean, nothing has happened, but the shares going up. And at some point of time, the retail investors get drawn in.
One small clarification. Is it a case of the defeated president of India?
No, it's not with that. I'm having a general question here.
In 2000, this happened. That's the reason.
So
the Indo-Mauritius dual taxation avoidance treaty was also had come under question, because this happened under Section 5 of International Companies Act Mauritius. A company was opened, and then this type of things had happened, and it was discussed in the parliament. It is all in the record of the parliament, and the then finance minister of the UPA NDA Vajpayee government was put on the mat by some members in the parliament.
And I think he had to switch portfolios, if I remember correctly.
I do not know what happened after that, but this happened. That's the reason I'm asking it.
Okay.
Because the case you're saying is as simple as same as the defeated president of India.
My case, and this is happening even today, Mr. Mani. So the point I'm trying to make is, this money comes in to the India stock market, then the share starts getting pumped up, retail investors get drawn in, and then at a high, all these guys, unload their positions, they make the big money. That money is not taxed on capital gains because there is a treaty with Mauritius. It is also called as hot money because these individuals can withdraw it anytime they want. So right now, India may look at saying that I have 600 billion foreign exchange reserves. It is about to be halved to 300 billion, right? So the point I'm trying to make, long and short of it, is round tripping is illegal in India. This is exactly a round tripping case because the money is coming back in, and you can do this thing again and again and again and again. The question that I'm asking you, sir, is would this also come under PMLA? If so, a lot of people will be going to jail, sir. A lot of people will be going to jail.
This is certainly, if you see the 1999 proposal, which was considered by the Standing Finance Committee of the 14th Lok Sabha, it certainly comes under the round tripping, and it comes under the round tripping. So that is the basically, as you said, ironically at that time, PMLA was being considered by the Standing Finance Committee, and the extant finance minister himself was required to be brought under this act. So, because the details of 1999 Standing Finance Committee report will give you the thing, on the basis of which it went on to be passed in the parliament in 2002. So round tripping is the original case, like kidnapping, ransom, round tripping, extortion, all those things were there. But I do not know how many cases it has actually been invoked, because as you said, they are all high net worth individuals. They artificially inflate the shares, bring in, and this is something Mr. 𝙒𝙧𝙤𝙀𝘀 has been fighting individually as a single person. Artificially, their share prices are hiked, and when it is at the peak, at the zenith, they dump, and lot of small investors take the beating, and they take huge beatings. So this has been happening since 2010 or 2000 or 1990, 2000 also, when the 14th Lok Sabha had brought in this bill. Standing Finance Committee was aware of it. The chairman of the Standing Finance Committee at that time was our great friend Mr. 𝙒𝙗𝘃𝑗𝑔. The minister was Yashwant Sinha. So how much of safeguard they might have provided is again a case, but it is certainly a crime if you see the preamble. If you see the preamble, if you see the definitions and all, it will certainly come as a case of liability. It gives a liability. Substantive crimes are not there. Substantive crimes have to be somewhere else. And this is also something with the UN Office of Drugs and Crimes that already sought to be fought about, because it is not about India. See, we are in a global community now. It is not about India. In a global community, this type of round tripping can again be repeated in a terror finance case.
Yes.
It doesn't take much. So if it can, because this vulnerability, as long as it is only profiteering, it may look all hunky-dory, although I do not agree to that it is hunky-dory, it is still a tax evasion matter. But once it starts getting into terror financing territory, then we are in for severe trouble. We do not know how much of funds from the PFI, especially that 𝙒𝙗𝘃𝗰𝘀𝘀. Huge infrastructures have come up. And it is not today. In 2006-07, the Special Secretary, in fact 2005, core group of security had flagged this, that these border areas, funds are coming in. We do not know, but laundered money was certainly coming into several institutions. At that time, PMLA, Chidambaram had just passed it, but PMLA efficacy was not been there. And number two is, in 2005, we had a legal vacuum to tackle. Laundered money could be tackled, but terror funding, we had no such provision. It was brought in only after 2008 amendment of UAPA, section 51A, the forfeiture, seizure, and the attachment. So these are all certain. It has grown with the time, but certainly round tripping is certainly a crime. It is liable under PMLA. They should always investigate that.
So, question that somebody pointed out is that round tripping was very difficult to prove, and I can think of two reasons why. One is the hawala transactions. You have to actually catch the person in the act. Like, for example, the person is making a phone call to his counterpart in Dubai, saying that, like, so much money has to be given and to this individual who will come and collect it, or you go and drop it off at that person's home, and so on and so forth. Number one. Second problem is Mauritius does not reveal the ownership of the shell companies through which the money gets routed. And India can press Mauritius and say that you have to reveal all these things, but India never seems to do that. Do you think that if these two are loopholes are plugged, and I'm also told there are not that many Hawala brokers in India, maybe less than 50, and everybody can be rounded up and questioned, or this is not a big problem, is how I have been told. Your thoughts, sir, before we go to questions.
Hawala brokers is certainly much more than the number you said.
Okay.
And some of them are not even in the radar. They do small time trading and all. Even you can get it even in household corner. So that is a different. And Hawala brokers are never exposed. The foot soldiers only come and deliver the money. And a foot soldier could be anybody, like a vegetable vendor, we do not know. So that, let us forget about that. But as you said, my basic question is, if you want to really circumvent this problem, keep on reviewing the dual taxation avoidance treaties, not only with Mauritius, but with other countries also. I agree that protection against double incidence of taxation should be there, but that should, if it becomes prone to abuse, then review the treaty, review it. I don't say drop it. Take out such clauses by virtue of it, or this dual taxation treaty has got a back-end support with their own legal architecture. Like, as you said, the International Companies Act of Mauritius, Section 5, sitting in Delhi, you can, on a telephone call, you can open a company.
Right.
Sitting in Delhi, you can open a company. That type of legal architecture is there. You simply say, kindly change this, or I am not giving you the benefit of dual taxation. Okay, anybody coming with income from Mauritius will be taxed at the rate at which their Indian income is taxed. Start reviewing it. Start reviewing joint working. These are all the matters which should come in the joint working group meetings. It is not that they say goodbye and have tea and evening cocktails and then goodbye and come back. These needs to be really, really hard worked. See, basically, till 2014, even our diplomacy was not very, very strong. After 2014, as they say, diplomacy's efficacy has improved by leaps and bounds. But these are all issues with the revenue department and the foreign service, the diplomatic corps should take it up with the other country, partnership country, and start reviewing one by one, joint working. What are the joint working groups for? This is it. See, your legal architecture is not conducive to dual taxation avoidance treaty. Either you change the thing, or you change your legal architecture, or we drop the dual tax. Like that, each such treaties commitment with each of these countries can be brought on table in the joint working group. That is what I wanted to say.
Well, lots of questions here, and anytime you try to talk about stock market, you'll get a severe pushback saying, look, if you do anything there will be a flight of foreign capital, and therefore you shouldn't touch it. Right under our eyes, already I believe 2 to 3 lakh crores has left India from foreign investments in the last 6 months, and nothing has happened. Now, yesterday, the taxes, what do you call as the interbank lending rate has been bumped up by another 75 percentage points, or 0.75%, and in the United States. So that is going to lead to even more of the same transfer. Right. So there is a challenge for India, and how much they can afford to cut down and try to break this thing is a challenge. So let's leave it at that. We will come back to that maybe in a couple of weeks' time, because then by that time we will know if there is more flow out of India into United States because of the fact that US will start offering better interest rates. Thank you very much, Mr. Mani, and let's go to some questions now. Yeah.
Please.
So Ramesh Vasudevan wants to know, can we go back and revive IMX and 2G scams? Review, I think.
Revive.
They never went away, just that they have not been acted upon.
Please don't talk of reviving scams. I thought you want to punish those scams.
Yeah.
But that's what I read, right? Thank you, Ramesh, but we should certainly intensify the investigations and all. I don't know how, whether the government of India has gone in for a review. There are political compulsions, there are other issues like that. We do not know, but it needs to be both INX and 2G scams need to be. In INX is still in the currency, in some course or the other.
Yes, yes. Ramesh, it's IN as in Nancy X. Mandar Karnik wants to know, is the BJP hoping for Hindu consolidation with PFI attacks and beheadings and therefore doing nothing to counter this?
This is a conjecture. I would not take it like that because, see, PFI is not, it has not happened today. PFI has been in existence for quite a long time in different shapes and different types and different what. How much of trail they are able to collect is the basic question before they go in for a ban. So, whether Hindu consolidation happens or not, these are all political issues I generally do not comment on. Thank you.
All right, I have something to add to that. Mandar, I hope you have read my book, Who Painted My Money White? It is my contention that there is enough money already in India to do this thing. The only problem is that that money perhaps got invested in real estate all over India by one community, and now the government is watching all the real estate transactions. So government can anytime ask somebody who's probably a vegetable vendor who suddenly sells a property worth 100 crores or 100 lakhs or 1 crore or something like that. They can immediately ask, where's the means of income? Okay, so the Who Painted My Money White scam that I explained in a fictional manner is going to play out. And the problem now is they can see their property, but they can't touch it. So that's why you are seeing now the operation of smuggling has moved from getting fake currency notes to gold in Kerala. Why? Because gold is a currency that has the maximum bang for the buck, in the sense that 1 gram of gold gives you so much more money than, say, currency, because currency you have to carry it in hands. You have to be sure that the government hasn't caught on with the new fake currency notes and so on and so forth. So now you see how things are changing. But it is my contention that they have a lot of money. It's just a matter of how to unlock it. It is also my contention that some political parties are backing them, and there is a nexus that is going on there. It's like a dial a riot, dial a murder, something like that is what is happening. We don't know who it is. I had a very hard-hitting monologue today morning. If you agree with me or don't agree with me, you can feel free to weigh in with comments. Thank you very much. Next question, please. Veeraraghavan Narsimhan wants to know, what about ED action on Kollywood and Bollywood?
See, you can't. Do we have anything against them? We all know what is all happening and etc. etc. But the question is, somebody has to initiate a complaint. Somebody has to initiate maybe a private complaint or a letter or something like that, with not an anonymous one. Who is willing to do it? Mr. Narasimhan, are you willing to write to ED so that they can start the investigation? That is the basic question.
Mandar, back again. What are the limiting factors for ED to act against Babus, judges and businessmen?
There are no limiting factors to act against businessmen. About action against Babus and judges, prior sanction is required under section 197 before they can go on to prosecute. They called a sanction for prosecution under section 197 of CRPC, and that is going to be not so easy. And if you remember earlier days, even at a CBI raid on a Babu was difficult because there was something called a single directive, which was ultimately withdrawn. So it is not that there is any limiting factor like that, but this is something which is provided for inside the criminal procedure code.
I have a question, follow-up question on that. Supposing the Babu or the said Babu or the said judge has retired, can then be can they do they still require a sanction for prosecution?
No.
Sir, here is
Because
an
now
interesting case I want to share with
Pandey.
you. I want to share with you. You can tell me about Sanjay Pandey. I'll tell you another stories. Go ahead, sir.
Sanjay Pandey case, you saw that he was also laundering money, doing this co-location. He was also a party to the scam on the co-location, the National Stock Exchange. And now, on the day after retirement, he was also allowed to join the investigation. And Mumbai police is something, corruption is Mumbai police is something which both of us have spoken about quite a few times, and now it is all coming true. And the next thing is, interestingly, I will give you one very, very interesting fact, that people, our listeners, go and find out the directorship of one company called Shreyas Homes.
SHREYAS HOMES. Homes. HOMES.
And find out who are all the directors of that company. And maybe if they give you a feedback, it will be an eye-opener for all of us.
Well, Mr. Mani, the story that I wanted to tell you is, just hold on to that question from Veeraragan. We'll ask that question. I want to finish this question. The story I wanted to tell you, sir, is there is a personal defamation lawsuit of 10,000 crores against 3 individuals, Mr. Chidambaram, Mr. KP Krishnan, Dr. KP Krishnan, and then Mr. Ramesh Abhishek by Jignesh Shah, for all the stuff they did against his group of companies. This is a personal, and all of them were retired. Of course, a politician never retires. The said Babus had retired. Today, the finance ministry is picking up their bill of litigation. And you know how expensive litigation can be. They'll go and get the most expensive lawyer, who incidentally could be a congressman too. So this kind of... Go ahead, sir.
They are not supposed to pick up the bill. No, it is absolutely wrong. If they are doing it, they are giving a very wrong precedent. There is no such rule. See, in the process, out of my employment, in the course of my employment, if my name gets defamed, or if I have to face a litigation, then the government counsel shall represent me. Maybe the Attorney General, maybe the Additional Solicitor General. I cannot go and hire somebody like Darius Kambata, that I will say that he will hear and ask that since this happened because of my employment with the finance ministry, ask him to pay this. That is never accepted. I think this is a very unique case. This itself is a bigger scam.
Well, I have written about this 2-3 years now. It's since I wrote about this, because this happened a few years ago. Again, that case is also locked up, jammed up solid. I don't know where that is.
Where is it?
Thought I should. Well,
Mumbai High Court.
Yeah, I think so. Mumbai High Court or Madras High Court. I don't remember exactly where. It's okay. Well, the thing is, as well as I do, Mr. Mani, that in most cases, who is going to win and who is going to lose is determined fairly quickly. Right. The guy who's going to lose then tries everything within his/her means to try and delay it. Right? This is a known thing that we have seen.
Absolutely right. Anybody who seeks date adjournment, third or fourth adjournment, is a very clear indication that he has lost it.
Case, yeah. So somewhere our judicial code can itself say, hey, if you are asking for the third or the fourth adjournment, then it automatically results in a default win for the other person. Ex parte judgment like thing. And leave it at that and finish it. Because then what happens is people won't put these frivolous lawsuits in the first place and at least try to settle it out of court and not waste the court's time. The next question.
I am a conflict manager. I am a conflict resolution person. I would support that.
Thank you, sir.
But in a long time back, around 10 years, 12 years back, one sitting CJI, we had an interaction, chance to interact with him. He said that most of the cases in India are fought for mustaches. People don't file cases for rights, but they file cases for mustaches. So that is self-esteem or simple ego. But this is not a case for ego. This case which you suppose, in which Chidambaram and his cronies, and below that also one officer is the Indian Economic Service officer. I know him. I don't want to name him. Dear friend, that will come someday or the day. It will see the light of the day. And the irony of finance ministry picking up the bill should be brought in before. It should be highlighted all over the place. I don't know why people are not aware of it. Is the PM aware of this? That the finance ministry is picking this bill? The finance minister aware of this?
We don't know. I have written a couple of times, and what I can say is that it is very regrettable. I think they somehow figured out a way to represent. Mr. Mani, you know as well as I do. Can anyone from the finance ministry give a formula today of how the Indian rupee is weighed against a basket of currencies? What are the weights for the baskets of currencies? So that I, sitting in my house, can look at the current exchange rate at a given point of time, apply that formula and know that this is what the INR exchange rate should be. Nobody wants to give that. Why?
In fact, this is something, see, this is public money, this is our money, so it should always be on the website.
It's not there. You should
be
able
to
figure
figure
this out.
Voluntary disclosure, it should be.
It's not there, sir. It's not there. Why I am asking this specific question is that it is my belief, and I could be wrong about this, many people in government corridors are still gaming the system, because in rupee always goes only one way. It only depreciates. It never appreciates. The one time it appreciated in 2007 when there was a huge inflow of foreign exchange capital. There was a hue and cry. A lot of scams happened because of that also. And again, everything went back to normal. And again, the rupee has been depreciating. This is not good. It is people's money. You lose money every time it is forcibly depreciated beyond what it has to be depreciated. And you know that only by looking at the formula. How are you computing it? Who is changing the weights? Under what consideration? See, these are all transparency things.
Certainly, citizens need to know about it, and it should be a voluntary disclosure. Simply put the formula so that I can find out the daily rates.
Yes, because at least you can argue in the foreign exchange counter when you are trying to convert, saying this is the website, this is the number they are giving. Why are you charging more? Because it will always be one way, sir. You will be paying more, whether you are converting from rupees to dollars or dollar to rupees. It is against you.
It's against
you. And you are in a hurry to leave, so you say, okay, you curse yourself. You can't curse that fellow because you don't want him to say something. And another irritating thing I've seen, these days I don't go, so I don't have a problem. It used to be, they want to look at your passport. Okay, so in the back of the passport, there is some exchange entries. But this rascal who's sitting on the other side of the counter in the bank, he look at my entire passport, where I have landed, where I have gone. Why do you need to know all that stuff?
That's not required. That's a private.
They deliberately take time to make you feel irritated. That is the thing, that what you said, ego, that mustache thing. I have the power to make you wait. I have the power to look at your passport, and therefore I'll make you wait. There is nothing other than the last 2 pages or 3 pages where you're supposed to make entries. India Babus are all, I tell you, ivory tower guys. They need to come down to the earth. They should be subjected to some of these things. Then they'll know the pain for others. Anyway, this is my rant. Sir?
They should be, because even in an immigration counter check, Babus get a separate line. People with white and red passport. So they never wait there. But a public, when the first time when I traveled to Singapore on a personal passport, then only we found the difference of waiting in the long queues. So
anyway, next question, please. Yeah.
Right, please.
I know the pain it's a very, very painful thing. Sorry, sir, I didn't mean to cut you off. We are coming up against the limit on the time. Veer Raghavan Narasimhan, what about action under PMLA of black money in circulation in movie land?
As I
I think
said,
you answered
Rahul,
this.
I
You answered
answered.
it. Yeah. Lakshmanan KS, why action on Chidambaram and his son's case are so slow?
It is already there in the courts of the country. We cannot see. Basically, it is already when the judiciary is seized of the matter, judiciary will go at its own pace. Nothing can be done about it. Tariq pe Tariq. As Mr. Iyer had pointed out, who is seeking the adjournment will give you the biggest giveaway that who is going to lose the case. And government doesn't seek adjournments. If at all they seek one or two adjournments, the government court doesn't give adjournments to the government.
Abhishek Singh wants to know export factors versus rupee depreciation. How is it beneficial? Ask Iyer. The question is for me. If you want to weigh in, sir, please feel free, but I will give the reason why.
When when rupee depreciation, exports become cheaper. So there is always a triggering. It should be the natural trade policy phenomena. Whether it happens or whether this depreciation of rupees is intended for increasing the export, we do not know. That requires a complete investigation by itself. Yes, sir, please.
So, Abhishek, what my grouse is that India is a net importer, which means it is importing more than it is exporting. How do you break this thing and you become a net exporter? You can do that only if the value of the goods that you are exporting increases over time. Think about it. If you are running a mill, a cloth mill, where you are finishing some T-shirts and sending it. I'm talking about typical factory in Tirupur. Okay. First month to second month, they should be putting more efficiencies in place so you can get more done out of less number of people. So, in other words, you can support or you can still manage if the rupee appreciates against the dollar. But they don't do that. See, this is where the problem is. It is counterintuitive. Anything that we do today in India, it is no longer manual. Everything is automated. For everything, there is automation possible, which means that your processes are getting efficient every day. So in that case, then that efficiency should show up as greater exports. But if you keep on depreciating your rupee, the net export value in dollars, which is a standard currency of the world, reference currency of the world, doesn't change. So what happens? You'll keep on going this depreciation route. The worst problem is, this is the problem that I have. What happens is people are doing futures on the currency and they bet that the in future, the rupee will be like 100 rupees to a dollar. Somebody must be placing bets. 2 years time, it will cross 100 rupees to a dollar. And if India is a net exporter, then it will go the other way. It will not go to 100 rupees, it will go to 60 rupees.
70.
Right. So, and you are not allowing that to happen. Why? Who is benefiting here? That is the question. And every time the rupee depreciates, what happens? Your basic food items become more expensive. Why? Because India buys its oil. For the most part, it is paying in dollars. So the dollars go lesser distance because your rupees are giving you fewer number of dollars because the rupee is depreciating. So what happens? You end up paying more. And because of that, the base price itself is going to start going up. If petrol goes up or diesel goes up or kerosene goes up or LNG goes up, then all the other things, cost of rice, cost of pulses, cost of vegetables, everything starts going up. And then somebody will say, oh yeah, I have to charge you more for the car because, all my raw materials have gone up because they have to be transported from place A to place B. So India is not thinking macroeconomically, in my opinion. India's big Achilles heel in this 8 years of the Modi government is its economic and finance policy. They really don't know what they're doing. That's my two cents on it. D. Narayanaswamy wants to know why some bits and pieces of the outcome of grilling of Rahul and Sonia are not being leaked to the public so that public will come to know the corruption of these people. It's a black and white thing, Narayanaswamy. You can buy my book, National Herald frauds. It's got everything. I've captured every scam, not one or two. There are many in this. It's a mother load of scams. There is nothing they can say. They can only try to hang the blame on somebody who's deceased and try to hope and pray that somehow some deal will be stuck so that they'll be let off. If this government is firm, and of course, Dr. Swami also will get involved at some point of time, and then they will be going to jail. Sorry, sir, I didn't even give you a chance to answer that question.
No, perfectly right. I
wrote this book. I know.
And I already said that it is not the government which has brought them to this pass. Actually, the congressmen should be protesting outside Dr. Swami's house for initiating the entire truth to come out. Leakage of the entire truth.
Sri Lok wants to know, why is action not taken on IAS, IPS officers and their juniors when corruption was discovered, and they wait for them to build their fortune and later catch one or two only?
It is a surmise because a lot of IAS officers have also been missing out on promotions and voluntary getting retired. FR 56J is uniformly applied. And basically, it was in the fundamental rules in right from 1919, but this was really started looking up, refreshed only after 2014, and only thereafter that we are getting. I do not know whether the review process is objective or not, but it has started getting invoked, and people are being voluntarily retired. It is happening. That's it.
Sudhir Kaushik wants to know, sir, is it possible to nationalize and freeze Indians holding money abroad, including anonymous deposits?
I would like to pass the question because I will be compelled to speak certain things which I am not permitted to.
Sudhir, it's a good question. It's difficult to answer this question. Today's money exchange between giver and taker is not even happening inside India. It is happening from one tax haven account to another tax haven account. It's just the meeting of the two minds to say, where do we strike the deal? That's all that is happening these days. And you can see more and more as companies go abroad and start doing business. This is going to be, par for the course. Simplified, in my opinion, simplified. Don't charge personal income tax. Let people make as much money as they want. Just keep the GST tight, in the sense everything has to be taxed on the sales side, and keep it a reasonable amount, 10% across the board. I think Indian population will accept it, because slowly that will start reducing the corruption at the lower government officers level. You wouldn't need you wouldn't need to pay the money there. The GST will take care of all that. In other words, what I'm saying is, pay the tax the consumption, not the earnings. It's very counterintuitive, and Western countries will say, no. You do, for a country of your size, you need to tax personal income tax also. Yeah. So you're going to say something. You're vehemently shaking your head.
Absolutely. Because see, we have been brought up on this diet of income tax being the major contributor and all. And in fact, it is provided for in several places. But the basic question is, you don't need an income tax to really fund your schemes. Let the expenditure be taxed. There will be two advantages of that. The wastage will go, the wasteful expenditures will go not automatically, and there will be more incentive to earn. Nowadays, after certain, what happens is, I'll give you a small example of industry ministry. Once upon a time, there was a reservation for exercise. So the companies had a disincentive to grow beyond a certain point.
Yes.
And they will go to another
you break the slab. You break the tax slab or the benefit slab, then you don't want to grow. Right.
So income tax also is like that. And this type of a progressive taxation is even more killing. The higher income means the 30% bracket and the 40% bracket and whatnot. Simply abolish income tax. Let us take the consumption, keep it tight, keep it one slab or two slab, essential commodities one slab, other than essential commodities second slab, and finish off. You will generate much more revenue as long as you keep it tight.
But I think GST has become quite tight. That's what I'm hearing now. They are catching a lot of the GST level crimes quite easily and efficiently. So that is a good news. So the system is beginning to really take shape on the GST side. Again, it's continuously being improved. But thank you very much, Mr. Mani. I think that's all the questions we had. And it was a wonderful, wonderful session, sir. We looked at a lot of things. Hopefully, this will open the eyes of our viewers that there are some things that this government can do. Its ED department, especially for PMLA enforcement, has got new teeth. It can bite. It shouldn't just bark. Thank you very much, sir.
Teeth was already there. Supreme Court had to go and tell them that you have a teeth. Now start biting. Because there are, if you don't bite, the world community, the global community will think that this fellow ED doesn't have any teeth.
Yes.
So that is also a compulsion. Now they are compelled to arrest the people who have been evading arrest and protesting on their supporters protesting on the streets, and their party chief in the Lok Sabha says that it's idiotic. ED means idiot and all that. It's a hard slap on the face of this.
Thank you very much, sir. And viewers, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. Namaskar.